Hi, I'm Mia Friedman, and welcome to No Filter, a podcast where I interview people on the basis that there's no such thing as too much information. Today, a man who has completely rebuilt himself. Andrew G was a radio DJ who became an enormously successful TV host on Channel V and then Australian Idol. Riddled with anxiety, battling demons, in a dark place. Until one day, he met a guy in Tel Aviv who told him if he changed his name, it would change his life. And it did. Now you might know him as Osher Gunsberg, the nice guy host of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, the one with the hair. He also has a kick-ass podcast called The Osher Gunsberg Podcast. A teetotaller vegetarian, a lover, an almost stepfather, he's a man who has completely reinvented himself in the last couple of years. So how did he get there? What's next? And is it true that he's really good at sex? Osh, welcome.
Thank you.
Fellow mouthguard wearer.
I should point out, Mia, that we've talked a lot about changing my name, you and me, but every time someone on Bachelor or Bachelorette calls me Osh, someone from Maltese extraction tweets me, says, you know what that word means in Maltese, right?
What does it mean? Does it mean vagina?
What's a more hardcore way of
It really?
It means,
it's like a swear, like a bad
It means
word. Wow. That's really interesting.
There you go. So every time they call me Osh on the telly, somewhere in Australia there's some second-generation Maltese immigrant kids going...
See, I can't call anyone by their full name. I have to shorten everything, so
That's
of
okay.
course you're going to be Osh.
You can still call me G, it's fine.
But also, we both wear mouthguards.
Mm-hmm.
We both have spoken about our mental illness and about medication. We'll get to that shortly.
Here we go.
And we both used to be called Andy G. We have so much in common.
So much. I was never called Andy. Never in my life was I an Andy. Ever.
That's not true.
No,
on Australian Idol, you were Andrew G.
Andrew, not Andy.
Were you not Andy G?
Never been an Andy. Never. I always used to get
Maybe
pissed
that's
off.
me that called you Andy G.
I got pissed off when people called me Andy.
Can we go through the name thing from start? What were you born as?
I was born as Andrew Jonas Gunsberg to two people that had already changed their names. My mum and my dad have both changed their names.
Surnames?
First names.
Why?
My mother's name is Buruta Magdalena, and Australians couldn't really say it, so she said, just call me Ruth.
That's such a great name.
My father was the first refugee child born into Western Europe after the storming of Normandy. As a result, my grandmother, my Czech grandmother, called him Dwight, after Dwight Eisenhower. Mm. She called him Dwight Michael Jan Antonin Ginsberg. He hated that. So the first chance he got, he changed it to Michael. And
so it's a thing in your family.
Yeah. I always knew when Mum was upset with him. She'd go, yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you, Dwight? And I'd be like, oh, I'll be outside.
What about your brothers? You've got 4?
3 brothers.
How many?
They're all still them. They're all still them.
And so when you started on TV...
Yeah.
Was Gunsberg just seen to be too hard?
No, you got to go back. Okay, so for folks listening outside of Australia, we have, I'm sure it's the same in North America, I think, but FM radio nicknames are quite a thing.
That's why I thought you would have been Andy G.
And they stick like poop to a blanket. And so on my first day of radio in Brisbane, driving the trucks around giving away ice cold cans of Coke, my promotions manager, JJ, of course. I was playing in a metal band at the time. I had all kinds of crap in my hair, and one of those things was a thing that had a spider hanging off it. I had all kinds of shit in my hair. And he goes, "You can be Spidey." There you go. And that was it. So I was Spidey for like 5 years. Never known as my own name. People would call me that around the station. It used to really bother me. So when I finally got a job in Adelaide in the daytime, I went to the program director and I said, I think I'm on radio at SAFM. I think I want to be called Andrew Gunsberg. And he goes, yeah, Gunsberg. Yeah. Not in Adelaide, mate. G. That'll do it. It'll be Andrew G.
And you were.
And so I was. Yeah. And then I met a bloke in Tel Aviv who told me if I changed my name, I'd change my life. And then a lot of stuff went on, though, Mia. A lot of things went on. But hang on a second.
You went from G to... You went back to Gunsberg.
I did.
I can't pronounce
Ginsberg,
it.
like
Ginsberg.
the poet.
Okay, but with a U and a umlaut.
Yeah.
So Ginsberg.
Yeah.
You went from Andrew G to Andrew Ginsberg
yes.
to Osher Gunsberg.
Yes, ma'am. And because I met a bloke in Tel Aviv who told me if I changed my name, I'd change my life. And I did. It did. Basically. But it also has really helped me. So it's really helped me put a separate identity on the man that I get to be now.
Not many people get to say that.
Yeah, I'm really lucky because there was a lot that went on, a lot of turmoil that I caused, and I managed.
When you were like in what period of your life?
Look, I was doing a lot of, I did a lot of drinking, and now I don't drink.
In your 20s?
Yeah, right up until the very bitter, horrible, vomit-soaked end. And I
never knew that about you.
Yeah. I showed you my best side, man.
We crossed paths a few times, but you were never sleazy. I never saw you drunk. You didn't seem like a big partier. You seemed very professional.
To you. But, the best of us managed to keep it secret. And so I stopped drinking because I couldn't stop. And when did you start? Oh, God, 14.
And do you think it was...
I'm undoing my tie, folks, top button. And that's the sound of a Windsor knot. Full Windsor, thanks very much, because I'm a grown-up.
Yeah, you wore a tie for this podcast. No, you've been at a charity Channel 10
I bought grown-up furniture yesterday.
What did you buy?
I bought a extendable Parker dining table, vintage Parker dining table. Hold your horses. Are you ready for this one?
Very.
I bought 6 original Herman Miller Eames chairs.
I feel like I should know what they are, but I don't really. But
there's furniture nerds everywhere going, oh yeah, he's transcended. I can't. It's like one of the most grown-up things I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, anyone can sign a mortgage, but it takes someone who's like, okay, I'm really committing on buying some Eames chairs.
Do you reckon when you said you started drinking at 14?
Yeah.
I mean, I also started drinking at 14, but I'm notoriously restrained in my drinking, and I always have been. I ended up with different addictions, but I wondered, do you think, jumping forward to anxiety and mental health, do you think you were self-medicating?
Oh, absolutely.
As early as 14?
Oh, absolutely. The first drug I ever took was being on stage.
Yeah.
The first drug I ever took was being on stage, because what is anxiety? Anxiety is fear of an unknown, all right? It's a loss of control. When I'm on stage, I'm 9, and I'm terrified of what people think of me, all right? That was my big thing. Social anxiety was awful. Then I'm on stage, and I remember the school hall where I was, and there must have been, 120 kids there. Every single one of them's quiet. Every single one of them's looking at me. I'm the only one talking. Absolute serenity. Absolute serenity.
At a time when you would assume, not understanding anxiety, that why weren't you just losing it?
No, because finally I'm in control of. They're going to think something about me, but at least I can tell. I can dictate. I can give them an experience that I know. They're not just looking at me, judging me from across a room. I can, which people don't anyway, but that's what my brain tells me they do. So yeah. And
so your choice of career was also a part of.
I got paid for my coping mechanism quite well. Yeah, it's been great.
After I wrote my piece about anxiety, I did an interview with a journalist on Melbourne radio, and he said, it sounds like you've set up your life as a coping mechanism, like a really busy life full of distraction. Would you say the same about your life, that you set it up to self-medicate?
Well, at the time.
For better and worse, so with your career but also with alcohol.
Look, alcohol's a really conveniently available drug for a very wide range of common mental nuances, okay? It's really easy to get, socially acceptable, and, if you occasionally do cut loose, people just go, oh, yeah, that's just, it was just, hey, you had a bit too much. And for some people, that's fine. But for others, it is the thing they need to have before they can leave the house,
And it develops slowly?
Like you saw quickly? Me. Let's just explain what just happened. Like I walked into the Mamma Mia office. I'm sure you've seen photographs of it on the Instagram, but there's about, 120 people that work here. All right. And I walked in and I saw Mia. I asked where the bathroom was. I went to the bathroom. I came out of the bathroom and there was a line of maybe 5 or 6 people with their phones ready.
About 20.
And then, about another 15 standing up from their desks and walking over. And I'm a grown man. I'm 41 years old. And I held Mia's blouse and I hid behind her like I'm 3 in a shopping centre. Because I'm actually really kind of shy and introverted. And it's very... And once I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. And I was able to kind of have a breath and then I was okay again. But I was not aware that I would do that. So before, I would just have 1 or 2 beers. People say it's to steady. No, it's to disengage emotionally. So the 1 or 2 beers just kind of unplugs my emotional connection with the world, and I can just observe it. And so that's what I used to do when I knew I'd be coming to a thing of whatever it was.
When you were going on TV?
Never,
that was different.
Never
okay, so it was a social thing, not a professional thing.
No. I think, hang on, there was a few times at Channel V where...
Oh, I imagine it's like a part...
Channel V was pretty loose.
Big day out, etc.
Oh, good Lord.
But so it's a like... Yeah, I mean, there's a thing called an extroverted introvert, because people would never look at you and I and think that we were introverts. I feel like I'm getting more introverted as I get older. Would you say the same thing, or you've always been that way?
Everything made a lot of sense. I only found out I was an introvert INFJ, or the Myers-Briggs thing. You can go online and do a test. It's pretty easy.
I keep hearing about that.
Yeah, it's super easy. So I did I'm an INFJ. And I only found this out when I went to Think, that school in Amsterdam where I went to and now work. And they stood us all in a circle, and then we had to arrange ourselves from most extroverted to most introverted. And I was one person away from the most introverted person in the class. Now... it was incredible to me because I stood there and was like, oh, right, well, everything makes a whole lot of sense now. But I also knew that this is me 5 years sober, all right? 6 years ago, I would have been nearly all the way around
at the extrovert
the
side,
other side.
The extrovert side.
Externally, though.
And only after several drinks.
No, not really. No.
All the time.
Yeah, because... beer stopped being a thing that was fun to do with friends, and beer started being a thing that if I don't have it, I can't go out with friends. And
How'd you stop?
I just did.
What made you stop? What was the day?
I stopped because I realised, I think it was the Lao Tzu quote, be careful of which direction you're headed, you may just end up there. And I could see exactly where this was going to end up. I could see that I was unable to alter the course. I had tried, like many people in the past, I tried a few times to not drink for a little while, and I'd gone like 6 weeks, 5 weeks. I think I did the last season of Idol. I think we were live for 12 weeks. I think I made the whole 3 months without drinking. And on the final night, like a duck to water. I wasn't having a drink. The drink was having me.
Did you do it by yourself?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's more help than you can possibly imagine, readily available in every community.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put your hand up and say, I can't do this alone. And the amount of people that are ready and willing
to help you and
support you is beyond comprehension.
And walk the path with you. It's
an incredible community of people, yeah.
Is it a daily struggle still?
It's not a struggle, it's a practice. The way I describe it is that, you see... say, for example, you watch The Bachelor, right? You see our Sam Wood. He's bloody gorgeous. He's carved out of anchor rope. He's a good-looking guy. If he doesn't watch what he eats and go to the workout every single day, he's not going to keep that level of body fat and that physique. All right? So I do not have a six-pack, I promise you, man. But it's definitely something that it's something I do every day. And it's an all-encompassing thing. It's what are the things that I can do to make sure the headspace that I've got is as good as I can possibly get it, and I can be the most effective I can be and have the best chance at kind of happiness that day for myself and those around me. And it's something if you don't work at it, it goes away. So if you don't
work at sobriety.
And if you don't work, it's the same. It's the same of if you don't work at keeping a lid on your anxiety or your depression or whatever.
Yes.
If you don't actively work,
yes,
it doesn't just go away.
No.
You've always got to keep an eye for the dogs at the door.
You've got to know your triggers as well, I think.
Absolutely, you've got to know your triggers, and you've got to be able to manage these things, and this is how it's going to be. It's you can pretend that it's not going to be like that, but that's a foolish path. You just go, okay, so this is how I go through the rest of my days, and that's okay. And so, essentially, because I'd started drinking quite so young, I ended up, 36-year-old man who had a view of the world of a frightened teenager. Because every time I was out in a social situation, it was never not drinking. I grew up in Brisbane, man.
But also, that's just very Australian. Like, it's so inherent in our culture. We drink to celebrate. We drink to relax. We drink to demarcate the work day from the being at home. It's removing it, I imagine, is very hard. It's a social lubricant.
Only at first.
Yeah, right.
Only at first. And then you're like, oh, wow, look how much more stuff I can get done. Oh, wow. No, this band's not actually that good. Or, I used to think it was a really good idea to go and do that thing with that guy. It's not now. You know?
Right.
So it's life's actually, it's really, really awesome. And so, yeah, I'm really lucky.
How is giving it up permanently different from giving it up when you start again?
Look, at first I was like, I couldn't quite face and even conceive, because I'd only ever known that as a part of my, as you said, social situation, the demarcation between day and night, whatever, lunch, Tuesday.
Daylight.
Daylight, yeah, well, sometimes. I'd only ever known that. So I couldn't actually imagine a life without it. But what I could imagine was, I even wrote it down in my notebook, all right, well, look, I can't quite imagine a life of never doing this again. And it was just too much for me to comprehend. So I wrote down, until I can have a healthy relationship with this, I'm just not going to do it. And that was enough.
Dave Hughes talks about the same thing, and I've heard a lot of people say the same thing.
I mean, it's no more than, say it's summertime, and
is summertime a thing?
No. Let's just say it's summertime.
Oh, it is. I thought that was like a music festival. And
let's say it's summertime, and you go out in the sun, and you don't put sun cream on, and you get really horribly sunburned.
Yeah.
Like this thing happens, and you go, oh my God, maybe it won't happen next time. And then you go out in the sun a week later, and you go out in the hot sun, and you're really horribly sunburned, and you're like, maybe your friends want to go tanning with you. You're like, no, I get really, really sunburned. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to have to live the rest of my life putting sun cream on.
Got it.
Because
what a great analogy.
I just can't not do it.
Did people around you feel threatened when you stop drinking?
It happens. What happens very, very quickly is, I think a little bit, yeah, because it's the same with when you don't eat meat. I think people are actually more freaked out that I don't eat meat than I don't drink, to be honest.
Do they get defensive?
Oh, completely. Yeah. Once you stop drinking, then you have to figure out the reasons why you were drinking in the first place, and that's the real work there.
And that's what I was going to ask you about next, because if drinking is part of your self-medicating, and the closest I've ever come to realising, I felt like at one point I was on a crossroads to understanding how I could become an alcoholic when I had a panic attack that lasted for 11 days.
God,
and the
Lord.
only thing that could get me out of that constant feeling of anxiety was a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm a really cheap drunk.
That's a slippery slope, Mia Friedman.
So it was probably by about day 5 or 6, I was like, could I have a drink in the morning? And I could have. And I really saw crystal clear, I've got a decision to make.
Yeah, that's it.
And I've got relatives who've been alcoholics, and I think looking back, probably there was a lot of self-medication involved in that. So when you strip away the alcohol, what's left in terms of mental health and what happens with mental health?
Because then you have
happened?
And that's the thing. I mean, I didn't go and figure out the reasons why I was drinking for a long time, and that was very painful.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're so self-aware.
I was just now. I was just
really.
I was just dry. I was just white knuckle.
You've always been a guy who's been very in touch with his feelings, though. I'm surprised. Did you not have therapy when you were younger?
Oh yeah, heaps, but for different stuff.
Yeah, right.
It was once I started. I had to really have a really long, hard look at why it was that I was in such a hurry to, as we mentioned before, disassociate myself from this situation, so I could just observe it, because I couldn't handle it at its full strength. Once I had to figure out why, well, that's where the real digging began. And had a long, hard look at myself in the magical maze of mirrors. And
isn't that a necessary,
tough, man,
wonderful,
but it's got to be done.
Tough thing
it's got to be done. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to clean. I mean, the way I would say to people is, if you don't scrub out that wound, you're going to be living with gravel from that bike crash in your knee forever.
Tell me about medication and being on and off it, because the last time we did a podcast, it was you interviewing me.
Yeah.
And you didn't tell me until a long time afterwards that you'd gone off. I think we actually might have talked about it, that you'd gone off your medication.
I was off medication at the time.
Because you decided, for whatever reasons.
It's about 2 years ago.
Yeah. For some of the, side effects, because there are side effects that we've discussed. You decided you were going to go off it?
Yeah. So I went.
How did that go for you?
I was on like garden variety serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people will, relate to. And I've been on for quite a while, and under the supervision of my doctor, I
medication prescribed for anxiety.
Yeah. We slowly started reducing the dose, and then and so I was. It's the best sex I've ever had, because it was like pretty much all the sex I ever had before that. I was at least 72 hours either side of having a drink. All right, so I'd
Hang on, what do you mean?
Right, so I'd either had it, like if I had sex on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
I'd had a drink on a Saturday night.
That's a long time ago.
Well, or a Sunday night. Like there was always alcohol in my system at some
Really?
point. Oh, yeah.
I've heard you're very good at sex. I told you that before, and it always makes you blush. But it's what I've heard.
I
sorry.
don't know what to say to that, Mia.
Well, imagine
Friedman.
if I said, I've heard you're really shit.
Well, what would it say to you if I said, I've heard you're really good at sex?
I'd be stoked. No, I have heard you're very good at sex.
We all look,
But you said
you try and be best. You try and just be good at one thing. I'm really blushing right now.
Okay, so you went off and you had better sex.
It was the most present connection I've ever had with another human being.
Okay.
It was amazing. Because it was utterly and completely sober. There was absolutely nothing energetically that was separating me from reality.
And you wanted more of that, so you stayed off your
Well,
you stayed off your meds.
Yeah, kind of. But I very quickly I started having worse and worse days, and I really didn't want to admit to myself that it was getting harder. And I started having more bad days than good days, and I started to have like 4 hours of fitful sleep a night. It was just getting worse, and I didn't want to admit it. And then eventually everything just kind of exploded. And then I called my doctor, and he's like, yeah, it's time to go back.
Did you feel like a failure?
No.
Did you feel defeated going back on meds?
No, not at all. Not at all. I felt a lot of clarity. I felt like... And then I had another diagnosis, and then we're like, oh, so that's going on. So I had to go on some other meds.
Yeah, right.
And these were the kind of the big guns. I'd, been upgraded. And
you got an upgrade.
He said to me, okay, so just take this when it gets really hard. And I thought, okay, then I did the classic mental health. If I don't take it, then I don't have it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of gripped my teeth, and I tried to go without it, and it was just understanding that, this thing was bigger than me. And then, so now I'm in the world of polypharmaceuticals now. So
what does that mean?
That means you're taking more than one kind of medication.
Oh.
So I have some in the morning and some in the evening.
Yeah.
And things like that.
And, some people who haven't gone on medication, and I always think it's important for us to talk about it, because I still know people who are prescribed it and go, oh, no, but I don't want to take that.
All right.
For exactly the reason that you say.
Okay, well, let me explain this to you. So here on the table is a blister pack of Nurofen, because I've walked in and I had a bit of a headache. I took this...
half an hour ago?
Okay, and it's just starting to kick in, all right? The meds I'm on have... zero correlation to that. I have absolutely no high or low from the meds that I take. All right, there is no buzz at all from the different meds that I take.
Same.
Just things are just easier.
I agree.
That's all it is. The way I describe it, I use a two-pronged approach. I have a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
Yeah.
So I describe my psychiatrist as the guy that he makes sure there's lubrication in the engine, and my psychologist is the mechanic that makes sure the gears work.
Got it.
But one can't work without the other. And it's not like you just take a pill and everything's better. Like I told you earlier, you've got to work every day. It's quite simple.
What about, you're in a relationship right now? You're in love, right?
Yeah, I am.
That's a beautiful thing. And she's got a child.
She has, and it's wonderful.
I've always thought you're going to be an amazing dad. Like, amazing. You've got it. Can you just have babies? Is she up for that?
I am... Okay, so there's a few things about this. All right, so I'm 41, all right? You date women... When you're 41 or so and single, you're gonna date women with kids.
How old is she?
She's younger than me. She's about 7 or so years younger than me. It's age appropriate.
But she's not 22.
No.
You've never... I have to say that about you. You've never been one of those guys who just dates young models. You always seem to like women, like
Yeah.
smart, strong women.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Curvy.
I wasn't going to say. Yeah. Women with big boobs also, yeah.
No,
Just curvy.
no, just curvy.
But you're not, yeah, anyway.
I like something to hold on to, Mia Friedman.
It's good, fair enough.
I like it. I like to have some sort of. I prefer if there's some amount of energy that can meet the energy that I bring.
Okay.
That's a very wide, obtuse reference.
So no starfish need apply.
Forgot where Mia. Where Mamma Mia.
But no, back to being a parent.
Okay, so what they don't tell you about dating a woman with a kid is that you fall in love with a woman, and then you end up falling in love with a kid as well.
Of course you do.
Okay, because the kid's got all these things that, she's her mother's daughter. She's got all the same qualities that I love about her mother. And they've got a really, really close relationship. And it's just like, oh, of course. And
How does it feel dating a woman with a kid in that you don't have her whole heart and that you will never have her whole heart?
It's wonderful.
Is that okay?
It's really great because, no one should ever rely on anyone else for the source of their happiness.
True.
That's just, it's never going to work.
None of this
ever.
you complete me.
No one can possibly withstand that responsibility. But knowing that that's always going to be Audrey's priority is really cool. Now, as far as having kids, I told Audrey flat out. I said, look, Audrey got pregnant quite young. I told her that, look, whether we do or don't it's up to you. Really? Because
Did you mean that?
Yeah, because I truly feel that you meet a guy who used to just be loose, and then he had a kid, and you go, oh, David's got his shit together. Yes. The men go through a transformation. Some men go through a transformation when they become a dad, and they go, oh, right. Oh, now I've got to provide. Yeah, here we go. I am absolutely 100% positive that the transformation that I need as a man, I can get from my relationship with the kid.
Right. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Absolutely. Because I feel as a man you need to have that. I really do. And at some point, I'm sure you can get that transformation without being a father, but I see other men go through it and I want it.
Of course.
So the other day, and because here's the other thing, she's 11. All right. Yeah. And she's grown 13 inches since I met her.
Get out.
35 centimetres.
Wow.
She's beautiful.
Oh.
And tall. And 11.
And 11, oh my God.
And I'm like, oh
and
my.
hormonal.
Oh, dude.
I've got one of those.
Okay, Mia. So the other day, we're in the car, we're driving. Audrey says, I tell you what, as soon as that kid turns 13, we're talking about how fast she's growing up, and we're like, we're going to be in trouble. Yeah. She goes, as soon as that kid turns 13, I'm going to buy her a horse, and she's going to look after that horse every afternoon.
I hear that's a good strategy.
And she's going to ride that horse every Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, we live in an apartment.
There's no room for a horse.
Centennial Park. I was like, doesn't that cost a lot of money? She's like, what price my daughter's virginity?
Start saving.
I'm like, okay, fair enough. True. So we're on the way to Westfield to pick her up, all right? And we always meet at the puppy shop. And she's out with her little mate. The two girls are out shopping. And so we'll meet you at 5, all right? They get to hang out there till 5 o'clock. So we're at the puppy shop. And we get there a bit early, and I'm trying to convince Audrey, like, well, if we get a puppy, it'll keep her occupied until she's 13. Yeah, we'll get a puppy. It'll be awesome.
Cheaper than a horse.
5 o'clock, kids aren't there.
Oh, no.
5:03, kids aren't there. 5:05, kids aren't there. Audrey texts her, and her face just drops. She goes, oh, my God. They're at Victoria's Secret. Oh. She turns to the lady behind the counter. Excuse me, do you sell horses?
Audrey's heaven. Oh, that's so good.
And I just was like, my face when I heard these 2 little girls are at Victoria's Secret. Oh my God. I think the model, the previously accepted model of, no, it's fine, I'll just sit in the living room polishing a shotgun. That's not going to work, is it? The only thing that can possibly work is teaching her her value, that she's the prize, and that unless the boy treats her with an incredible amount of respect he's not worth her attention and that no is usually the right answer.
Yes.
That's all we can do.
I wish I had you in my life when I was a little kid.
I wish I had me in my life when I was a kid.
You should you like a community service. They should send you into schools to speak to small girls.
Oh, no. I'm speaking of boys.
Yeah, actually, that's even better.
Speaking of boys.
You're quite a guru. I know you didn't want to talk about your divorce, and we won't go there, I promise. I'm going to respect that. But in conversations that you and I have had, the work that you've done around that and your insights into male and female relationships are golden.
Well, let me just say, look, the only reason I don't really go into my divorce too much is because the other person that is involved is quite a high profile. And,
it's not just your story to tell.
No, it's not just my story to tell. And she's an incredible woman, and she's about to have a baby. If not, she has had a baby already.
She?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm thrilled. I couldn't be happier.
Do you have FOMO?
No, not at all.
No. That means you're in a really good place.
Not a bit. You can't have your happiness depend upon another person's actions. Then you'll always be a slave to that person. You'll never find true happiness because they'll never be what you want them to be. You really have to find that yourself. You have to find that happiness yourself.
You're like a love guru. You're wasted on The Bachelor.
No.
We didn't even speak about The Bachelor. To me, that's the least interesting thing about you.
I don't know. I think it's pretty fun. I get to...
No, I mean, it's just, it's kind of like there's so much to you.
Well, the thing is that, here's this show, and I can't even believe it, some people don't get 7 episodes. I got 7 seasons of Australian Idol. Like, that's something to hang your hat on and say goodnight, all right?
Yeah.
That another franchise has come around.
The lightning has struck twice.
That does not happen.
Is it satisfying in terms of work?
Oh, so wonderful. The crew are just so wonderful.
Okay.
I get to go to work and help people fall in love every day.
Yeah, but it's not like, in terms of flexing the muscles that you have as an interviewer, as a performer, as a presenter, as a broadcaster, it's not that for you.
Well, right now, and for the last few years, it has been perfect because I've got to do a sort of thing that I never did before. And everybody always wants to learn something new on their job. Nobody wants to be doing the same thing. I got Channel V when I was 25 in 2 weeks. It's the same job. Nobody wants to be doing the same job that they were doing at 25. Everybody wants to develop and grow and change and move up and do different roles and have different responsibilities and explore different avenues.
But this is so scripted, and it's so... like it's 1% of what you're capable of. I don't mean to trash it, but I just think, how is it satisfying for you in a... I know you can't say anything because this is your job.
Tell you
what
why,
are you going to say?
I tell you why, Mia. They tell me, this is what's going to happen. We need you to do this. I'm like, okay, great. So I write something up, and then I'll memorize the...
So you write your own lines?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay. Well, there's a guideline. Tom, my story producer, he writes something. Yeah. He goes, this is what we need to happen, but you rewrite, do whatever you need. Sometimes I'll change a bit. Sometimes I'll rewrite the whole thing. Yeah. And I go, is it better if we do, can we do, I'll ask the right people. I've learned how to ask these things now.
Oh, of course.
I've learned, it's not like, this is shit, I'm doing it this way. I don't do that
People
anymore.
who do that don't last long.
I learned that.
I know other people who've learned that too.
Now I get to say, what do you think about if we does it punch more if we write it this way? Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, cool. Let's do it that way. So, and now bear in mind, I'm dropping very important information of which large emotional reactions are being filmed, which you cannot do twice.
Okay. Can't you? I assume everything's done 10 times.
You can't tell someone that it's time to go twice. You can't.
Okay.
These are big emotional reactions, and the thing about any emotional reaction is the first time it happens is the best time.
It's the most genuine.
All right, it's the most genuine. Oh, do it again. It's never the same.
True.
So you asked me, is it satisfying? Walking out onto where we're shooting, it's a beach somewhere, for example, and there's 3 girls standing there. And the director says to me, okay, I'm going to need you to walk out. You're going to hit this mark. The 3 girls are going to approach. They're going to stand there, and I'm going to need you to talk for exactly 47 seconds, because at 47 seconds, that's when the chopper's going to land, and then I need 3 more seconds until we can open the door, and as we open the door, that's when I need you to drop the line. And the chopper's going to happen, but all that's going to happen behind you. Okay. I walk out, I do it, 1 take, and I walk off.
That's satisfying.
It's pretty fucking satisfying.
I get it. So there's more involved. It's harder than it looks. Is it like the duck paddling under the surface? You know,
Look,
you're gliding along.
It's like anything. You've been riding for, half of your life. So for some people...
You make something look easy.
Yeah, because you've done it a jillion times. It's like anything. Right?
I think you come to it with such sincerity.
But I truly tell you that I know how ridiculous it is. It is. It's fun. It's super fun.
You seem to be having fun with it this
But
year.
we also know how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
There's a line in tonight's show. I don't want to be spoiling anything. Tonight's the finale of The Bachelor. We're recording this.
I happen to be talking to you today.
We're recording this on the night of the finale. There's a moment where Sam Frost says, I had to exert myself so much. I mean, where's my cheese platter? There's normally a cheese platter.
So it's become a bit meta.
Well, yeah, so she's totally, she knows what it is. We know what it is. It's fun, all right?
Yeah.
And plus I'm helping people fall in love. And plus, here's the other plus. I'm participating in a thing that gives people a reason to come together and sit. I can send photos. There's like 10, 20 people in a living room watching this together that otherwise would never, congregate twice a week.
What's your perception in the difference between what The Bachelorette's been like and what The Bachelor was like?
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of people have... I don't know whether it's just that feeling that it's gone on too long with The Bachelorette straight after The Bachelor. The fatigue has really set in and there's been some disappointment.
Bullshit. We cracked 1 million last night.
Last night. This week it's back. But there's been some disappointment around the fact that not much has happened in The Bachelorette and we all had such hopes for a really exciting series and maybe it wasn't cast the best. I don't know. Sam's fantastic talent, obviously. All the guys are pretty much the same.
I don't cast it.
No, I know that. But from inside, how did it feel different, The Bachelorette to The Bachelor?
Well, we had a different executive producer and they have a different flavour upon everything. It's like, I don't know, if you have a different project manager or anything. Like you might work well on project manager who works a certain way. Then
not the sexual dynamics, but the difference in...
Well, I can only tell you from what my perspective is that we, on the set certainly... We all felt very protective of Sam. And I think people watched the show and they saw the turmoil that she'd been through. And we all become her big brother or sister. And we all want her to find what. And we all like, don't you talk to her. Or you with the French, don't you talk to her that way.
Yeah, right.
And don't you speak about her when she's not there. Don't you dare tell them that you kissed her. How dare you, tongue, fuck, what a question. How dare you ask that? And
that comes across.
Yeah.
She's very good.
She's just the loveliest.
Oh, look, I'm so... I should let you go. Have you got a viewing party tonight? What are you doing?
I'm sitting at home. I'm tweeting the shit out of it. I'm sorry if people listened and they thought this was going to be, different. If it was you and me just going to be talking about... I feel that people might be disappointed because they're not hearing the kind of thing they're expecting to hear when they listen to me talk.
They never know what to expect when you listen to me talk. Basically, you know that it's going to be highly inappropriate. Thanks, Osh. Can I still call you Osh? Even though now that I know what that means.
That means we're very familiar in Australian terms.
I can't wait to meet Audrey. And
have you not met her?
No, I haven't. I'd love to.
She's lovely.
She sounds awesome.
Yeah, she's a Chinese Fijian Islander princess with Disney princess eyes.
My goodness.
Yeah, she's glorious. She's really funny. Funny, haha.
Can I please put in a request for you to make babies with her? But that's just my personal suggestion, request. Do it for me.
You, of anyone, should know about what it is to ask people to have babies or not.
Just get her knocked up. Just go and do it. Stop being so gentlemanly. Just say, come on, we're going to make a baby. Let's go there. Thanks. When you've done that, come back and see me.
There's more than one person that I have to consider, all right?
Of course
I've got a little girl to get off to high school.
You really do.
Yeah.
Come back and talk to me
and
when
we're
you've
in
made a
the, we're in the zone, man. Between now and when she's like 15, 16, this is the zone. So I've just got to make sure it's going to be all right.
Give her a sibling. Go on. Baby Osher. What a cute little baby Osher.
Thank you for having me, Mia. Thank you for having me in your little greenhouse.
Thanks for listening to No Filter. Subscribe in iTunes for more stories, behind the scenes, and inside the heads of public faces. This show is hosted by me, Mia Friedman, and produced by Monique Bowley and Liza Ratliff for the Mamma Mia Podcast Network. You can find out more about all our shows, we have about 5, on the Mamma Mia Podcast Network's Facebook page or on my Facebook page, Mia Friedman. Contact the show, suggest an interview subject, leave feedback, or just show us your love via Twitter at Mamma Mia Podcasts or by emailing podcast@mammamia.com.au.